Let me make sure I have this absolutely straight. My lawyer, a man who looked like he'd seen everything twice, said as he leaned forward in his ridiculously expensive leather chair. He took off his glasses and polished them, a slow, deliberate movement designed to give me a chance to back out. You want me to arrange for your wife, her sister, her brother, and both of her parents to be flown, first class, to a private, five-star resort in the Maldives. You want me to ensure their villa has a private butler, a fully stocked bar with top-shelf liquor, and infinity pools overlooking the ocean. You will pay for all of this, non-refundable. I nodded, a calm smile spreading across my face. That's correct. He put his glasses back on, his eyes boring into me. And then, on the third night of their stay, during a private gourmet dinner on the beach that you have also paid for, you want me to appear on a large-screen television via video conference, with a local legal representative standing beside them, to have your wife served with divorce papers? That's the one, I said. He stared at me for a solid 10 seconds, the silence in his mahogany-paneled office thick enough to cut with a knife. Mr. Davies, he finally said, a hint of what might have been admiration in his voice. This is the most beautifully, needlessly extravagant, and utterly diabolical revenge plan I have ever had the pleasure of facilitating. I'm in. I just sat there, smiling. He thought it was about revenge. And yeah, okay, a small part of it was. But it wasn't just about getting even. It was about a lesson in consequences. A lesson that started 4 years ago when I met Sarah and culminated 2 weeks ago at her sister's 30th birthday party with a drunken confession that detonated my entire world. Let me take you back. When I met Sarah, I wasn't Mark Davies, the guy who sold his logistics software company for a stupid amount of money. I was just Mark, a nerdy guy in a coffee shop, coding on his laptop and spilling a latte all over the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. It was a romantic comedy cliché. I was mortified. She was surprisingly gracious, and I ended up buying her a new coat and getting her number. For the first year, things were perfect. She was funny, smart, and seemed completely unimpressed by my financial success, which was a huge green flag for me. I'd come from nothing. I grew up in a trailer park, put myself through community college, and built my company from the ground up with sheer grit and 100-hour work weeks. Money wasn't an identity for me. It was security, a tool. Sarah seemed to get that. Her family was nice, a little old-fashioned. Her dad, a retired salesman, would always make these little jokes about my expensive watch or my car. Must be nice, he'd chuckle, but his eyes always lingered a little too long. Her mom was sweet, but constantly talked about the struggles of her other kids, her daughter Jessica, who was a perpetually aspiring influencer, and her son Kevin, who bounced from one brilliant get-rich-quick scheme to the next. The first real crack in the facade appeared about 6 months before our wedding. We were planning the event, and I wanted something relatively small, intimate, maybe a destination wedding with our 50 closest friends and family. Sarah, who had always claimed to hate being the center of attention, suddenly produced a binder. A thick, white binder filled with clippings from bridal magazines, detailing a 300-person black tie affair at the city's most expensive hotel. Honey, this is a lot, I said gently. I thought we wanted something low-key. This isn't for us, Mark, she said, her voice completely serious. This is for my family. They've never had anything like this. It's a statement. It shows them I've made it. I should have listened to the alarm bells ringing in my head. It shows them I've made it. Not we've made it. But I was in love, and you know how it is. You make excuses. You tell yourself it's just wedding stress. So, I paid for the big, flashy wedding. I watched her family invite distant cousins I'd never heard of, all of them taking pictures of the floral arrangements and whispering about the cost. I smiled and told myself it was worth it to see Sarah happy. After we were married, the subtle digs became more frequent. They were no longer about my things, but about my wallet. It started with her brother, Kevin. He cornered me at a family barbecue with a can't-miss business opportunity, importing artisanal alpaca wool socks from Peru. He just needed a $50,000 seed investment. I'm a businessman. I asked for a business plan, market analysis, anything. He just scoffed. Dude, it's 50 grand. You probably have that in your couch cushions, he said. I politely declined. 2 days later, Sarah came to me in tears. My brother's dream is dying because you're too cheap to help, she cried. It's my family, Mark. How can you be so selfish? It wasn't a discussion. It was an accusation. To keep the peace, I gave Kevin the money. not as an investment, but as a loan with a simple contract I drafted. 6 months later, I saw him on Instagram posting a picture of his new, bright yellow Mustang. The artisanal sock empire, it seemed, had never materialized. When I brought it up to Sarah, she went nuclear. "Oh my God, are you seriously tracking my family's spending? You're a financial abuser. I can't believe I married someone so obsessed with money." I was stunned into silence. Me? Obsessed with money? I drove a 5-year-old Tesla. I wore jeans and t-shirts. I gave generously to charity, anonymously. But in her world, my refusal to be an open, unquestioning ATM for her family's whims was a moral failing. That was the second major incident. I started sleeping in the guest room more often after that. The silence in our massive, beautiful house was deafening. The next escalation came when her parents' landlord decided to sell their apartment. It was a normal, unfortunate life event. But to hear Sarah tell it, they were about to be homeless orphans on the street. "They have nowhere to go," she sobbed. "We have to do something." We had a 4-bedroom guest house on our property that I used as a home office and gym. "They can stay there for a few months," I offered. "That'll give them plenty of time to find a new place." A few months turned into a year. They moved in, and slowly, my sanctuary was colonized. My gym equipment was pushed into a corner to make room for her mother's collection of porcelain dolls. My office became her dad's TV room, where he'd watch golf all day and leave beer cans on my desk. They never offered to pay for utilities, never bought their own groceries, and treated me not like a son-in-law, but like a surly, live-in landlord. If I ever brought it up to Sarah, the response was always the same. "They're my parents, Mark. What is wrong with you?" I felt like I was going crazy. I was living in a gilded cage, surrounded by people who saw me as a resource, not a person. My wife, the woman I thought I knew, was becoming a stranger, a furious defender of her family's entitlement. But I still held on. I thought, maybe this is just what marriage is. Compromise. Sacrifice. I kept telling myself that deep down, the woman I fell in love with was still there. And that brings us to the party. Jessica's 30th birthday. It was Sarah's magnum opus. She decided her sister, the aspiring influencer, needed a birthday party that would break the internet. It started with renting out a trendy, downtown art gallery. Then came the celebrity DJ. Then a custom-built champagne tower. A professional photographer and videographer were hired to capture the content. Every day, the budget grew. When I finally tried to put my foot down, after the bill had crossed the 6-figure mark, Sarah looked at me with pure, unadulterated contempt. "This is for my sister's career," she hissed. "It's an investment. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it is to have to beg my own husband for money? My friends' husbands just give them a credit card and ask no questions." At that moment, something in me just broke. It wasn't a loud snap, but a quiet, cold shattering. The love, the hope, the endless well of patience I had for this woman just evaporated. All that was left was a hollow feeling in my chest. But I didn't say anything. I just nodded. "Okay, Sarah, whatever you want." The night of the party was a spectacle. Jessica was preening for the cameras in a dress that cost more than my first car. Her parents were walking around telling everyone how blessed they were with such a generous son-in-law. Kevin was at the open bar, ordering shots of the most expensive tequila and bragging about his new Mustang. And Sarah was the queen of the ball, gliding through the crowd, accepting compliments on her party. I just stood in a corner, nursing a club soda, and watched. I felt completely disconnected, like I was watching a movie of someone else's life. Around 11 p.m., it was time for speeches. Jessica gave a tearful thank you, mostly to her Instagram followers. Then Sarah, who'd been hitting the champagne tower hard all night, grabbed the microphone. Her eyes were glassy, her words slurring just slightly. "I want to make a toast," she announced, swaying a little. "To my amazing sister, Jessica. You deserve everything. And I'm so glad I could give you this party." She paused, beaming, as the crowd applauded. Then she turned and pointed the microphone at me, a wide, sloppy grin on her face. "And a big thank you to my husband. My personal ATM machine. Marky." A few people laughed nervously. I felt my blood run cold. She wasn't done. "Let me tell you all a secret," she said, leaning into the microphone as if sharing a juicy piece of gossip. Her mother started walking towards her, a panicked look on her face, but it was too late. When I first met this guy, I swear, I wouldn't have looked twice. He was so nerdy, so average. The room was dead silent now. You could hear the ice clinking in people's glasses. But then, she continued, her voice rising, I found out how much he was worth. And I thought to myself, Sarah, you can learn to love that. And I did. I love his money so much. She let out a shrieking laugh. He's not much to look at, but his bank account? God, it's gorgeous. I love him for his money. She tried to take a dramatic bow and nearly fell over. Her brother Kevin caught her, laughing his head off. Her dad just stared at the floor. Her mom finally reached her and snatched the microphone away, stammering something about her daughter being a joker and having too much to drink. But I saw it. I saw everything. In that one, horrible, crystal clear moment, the truth was laid bare. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't the champagne talking. It was the raw, ugly truth that had been hiding beneath the surface of our entire relationship. Every fight, every demand, every tearful manipulation, it all clicked into place. I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene. I just turned, walked out of the art gallery, got in my car, and drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. And for the first time in years, I felt a sense of clarity. The cage door was open. All I had to do was fly away. The next morning, she came into the guest room where I'd slept, holding a cup of coffee and wearing a pained expression. Oh my God, babe. I have the worst hangover. Jessica's videographer just sent me a clip from last night. I said some really stupid stuff. I was just joking. You know how I get when I'm drunk. I looked at her, and the person I saw was a complete stranger. I just smiled. A calm, easy smile. Don't worry about it, honey. I know you didn't mean it. You were just drunk. The relief that washed over her face was palpable. Oh, thank God. I was so worried you'd be mad. Mad? Why would I be mad? I said, taking the coffee from her. In fact, I've been thinking. I've been really selfish lately. So focused on work, so stressed about money. I want to make it up to you. To your whole family. What do you guys think about a trip? All expenses paid. Anywhere in the world. Her eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. The speed at which she went from, I'm sorry, to what's the budget, was breathtaking. And that's how, 2 weeks later, I found myself sitting in my lawyer's office, finalizing the details of the most expensive divorce proceeding in his firm's history. The plan went off without a hitch. They were ecstatic. Sarah sent me a stream of photos. The first-class airline seats, the champagne on arrival, the sprawling beachfront villa. You're the best husband in the world, one text read. I'm so sorry for ever doubting you. On the third night, I got a final text. It was a picture of a beautifully set dining table on the beach at sunset. The caption was, dinner time. Wish you were here. Red heart. I texted back a single word. Enjoy. Then I joined the video conference with my lawyer. I watched on my laptop as Sarah, Jessica, Kevin, and their parents took their seats. I saw the butler pour them wine. I saw the massive television screen, which they probably thought was for a slideshow or something, flicker to life. And then they saw us. My lawyer, in his perfect suit, and me, sitting comfortably in his office. Sarah's smile faltered. Mark, what is this? A man in a crisp white shirt, the local legal representative, stepped forward and placed a thick leather-bound folder on the table in front of her. Sarah Davies, my lawyer's voice boomed from the speakers. You have been served. I will never, for the rest of my life, forget the look on her face. The confusion turning to shock, then to pure, sputtering rage. What the hell is this, Mark? She screamed. It's a divorce, Sarah, I said calmly, my voice coming through the speakers. My lawyer has the details, but the short version is, our marriage is over. The grounds are irreconcilable differences, citing, among many other things, your public declaration that you only married me for my money. We have a sworn affidavit from the event's videographer. Kevin started shouting. Her dad stood up, knocking his chair over. Her mom just started crying. You can't do this. Sarah shrieked. Oh, it's already done, I said. And there's more. The man standing beside you will also be serving your parents with an eviction notice. They have 30 days to vacate my guest house. He also has itemized invoices for every major expense I have covered for your family over the past 4 years, including Kevin's $50,000 loan for the sock business that became a Mustang. My lawyer will be seeking repayment as part of the settlement. The chaos was beautiful. It was a symphony of sputtering, entitled rage. And just one last thing, I added, leaning into the camera. As of 10 minutes ago, your return flights were canceled. The villa is paid for through tomorrow morning. After that, you're on your own. I'd recommend you start looking for flights now. The Maldives are beautiful. but they're a long way from home when you're paying your own way. Sarah just stared, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. I gave them one last, gentle smile. You said you married me for my money. You got to enjoy it for a while. This is the bill. Goodbye. And with a click, we ended the call. The aftermath was exactly as you'd expect. A firestorm of voicemails, texts, and emails. Threats, tears, begging. I blocked them all. I heard through the grapevine that it took them nearly a week to scrape together enough money on their credit cards to get home. Flying economy with 3 layovers. The divorce was swift and clean. With her confession on tape, she had no leverage. She got what the law minimally required, and not a penny more. Her parents moved into a small apartment. Kevin had to sell his Mustang. Jessica's influencer career never took off. As for me, I sold the big house. I moved into a smaller place downtown. I travel. I'm focusing on my next business venture. I'm happier than I've been in years. The whole thing cost me a fortune, but it was worth every cent. It bought me my freedom. It bought me my life back. So yeah, that's the story of how I flew my ex-wife and her family to a private island just to dump her. It was messy, but honestly, it was a masterpiece. And believe me, the story of what Kevin tried to pull during the asset division process is even more insane. If you want to hear that one, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.